Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Running Bear's live performance kitchen. You hopefully can tell I'm in red today. I'm doing something inspired by Valentines, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. I'm looking at all of the beetroots, the raspberries, all my lovely red ingredients to create something wonderful that you guys can all share with your loved ones. So, tasked with what to create for Valentine's, something red, something that you guys can make, something that's healthy, something that I can impart some knowledge on into you all. And what I've been working with some of my athletes this week is the wonderful beetroot. It's so popular at the moment in sport. The reason being is we are looking at all the nitrates. I'm going to go through this with you as I go through my recipe now. So hopefully those of you who are cooking with me, you've got your beetroot to hand, you've got all your little goodies. First thing we need to do when we're baking, put our ovens on. It's 350 Fahrenheit today, around about 160, 170 Celsius, gas mark 4. So pop your ovens on for me. Hope you've all had a lovely week, by the way. Hope you're all looking forward to creating something which I have to be honest, I've never made a red velvet cake before. I've seen them, I know they're red, but I didn't really understand a huge amount about them. As soon as I started looking into my recipes this week, I thought, right, I can put a beetroot in there, I can make this healthy, I can make this something that's a really good pre-run and post-run treat, snack, something that you guys will all love. Now, when it comes to the humble beetroot, it is by far not humble. It is probably one of the best superfoods you runners, you athletes can use. And this is how I use it, okay? You can get this, you can grow it in your gardens, you can buy it raw and bake it before you use it in this recipe. If you want to do that, then obviously kudos, brilliant. But otherwise, for those of you like me that just want the goodies, but without obviously the growing, something like that, it's a wonderful self-seal packet. There's around 4 beetroot in there, and it's exactly what you need for this recipe, 250 grams. So the first thing we're going to do is I hope you've all got something that you can make a smoothie in or you can blend. I'm using my food processor today. You'll note I've already blended up my beetroot, and that is because it is so noisy, this thing, that you wouldn't be able to hear over me. So what we're going to do is we're going to literally cut your beetroot packet, put your beetroots whole into your food processor. If you're using something like a smoothie maker or something smaller, just dice these slightly, but just be careful not to stain your fingers because it really does stain. And then to that, we're going to add the milk, 75 mils of milk. I've said you can use plant-based by all means. If you've soy milk or rice milk or oat milk, perfect. Otherwise, normal standard milk. Pour that in, and then to that, we're adding 1.5 teaspoons of wonderful lemon. So just give that a squeeze. And it's 1.5 teaspoons, but you do know I'm not going to measure because I never do. So that's going in. And then we're going to add some white wine vinegar. Again, same amounts, please. That's going in. And then last but not least, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. That's going to just give it a little bit of sweetness, take away the earthiness of the beetroot. You can measure it, or you can do 2 capfuls, whichever is easier. Okay, so that's all gone into your food processor or your blender or your smoothie mixer or whatever you've got. Give it a quick whiz. Okay? You're going to have to do yours longer than that, obviously, but I've pre-whizzed my beetroot. And then you get this wonderful red beetroot puree. That is basically the basis of our muffin. That's what's going to create that wonderful, moist texture that we all look for in our muffin that usually comes from a lot more different. Also, we need to put in our oil. So the oil I'm using, there's oil or butter. The ones I've made earlier I've done with butter, and then I'm going to show you these ones with oil. I am using a rapeseed oil. You can use a vegetable oil, a sunflower oil, any oil that's not going to flavour. So something similar to that. So that goes in as well. Give that a final whiz. And as you know with my recipes, they're never very long and they don't use a lot of ingredients. So that's now whizzed up. And then we just need to go to our dry ingredients. So for a pre-run or pre-exercise muffin, I want you to use the plain white flour. If it's going to be a post one, you can use whichever type of unrefined flour you want. Wholemeal, coconut flours. You can do this with half almond or nut flour and half normal flour. anything works, but as a pre, because we're thinking of GI and we're thinking of getting those fabulous carbohydrates into you straight away, just stick to a normal white self-raising flour. Okay, I've already got my bowl and sieve ready. We're just going to sieve 250 grams of plain flour, 30 grams of cocoa. You know, I'm all for convenience. It's basically 3 tablespoons, right? It's 10 grams of dry ingredients per tablespoon. I'd just rather just use my tablespoon. So 3 of them. Always got to have chocolate on Valentines, haven't we? Okay, so we can't miss the chocolate out. 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and that is your sieving ingredients, okay? So sieve that through, and the reason we sieve it through is just to get rid of any of the main bits that will clog and make big gaps in your muffins. And secondly, to aerate. So the higher we sieve, the more air we get into the muffins. Nice big tall muffins. Okay, sugar, you know I'm not a big fan of sugar, so that is going to make 12 muffins. It's not a lot, and it's certainly something you guys will be burning off in the first 10 or 15 minutes of your run, and it's obviously what our bodies request and require when we're about to do exercise immediately. So there you go, there's your sugar, in it goes. Again, if you're using this as post, you can use any other form of coconut sugars, anything you want really, but anything just to slightly sweeten it up. Okay, give it a little stir, mix those ingredients together, and then all we need to do is add our wet ingredients. So be careful here, I'm cooking in the right colour today. If I spill any, you won't notice it. We're working with beetroot. It is not great with whites, so for those of you cooking in white today, please be careful. It's a nightmare to get off. Right, look how gorgeous this is. Gorgeous red beetroot puree. Pour it in, give it a gentle stir. Do you remember I say whenever we're sieving, we're adding air into our mixture? So just gently, figure of 8, fold it in, keep the air in. Right, beetroot. Why is beetroot one of the superfoods for athletes? It's to do with dietary nitrates that are abundant in beetroots. You can get them as well in rhubarb and in dark green leafy vegetables, but beetroot is literally considered like a superfood at the moment. I'm not going to lie, it's ideal in its natural state, so raw. So if you can, try and consider buying the beetroot as I've just shown you, slicing that up and adding it to a salad. Pour it into a Kilner jar and pour on top of it some white wine vinegar or apple cider vinegar if you like it to be like pickled and tart. Ferment your own, a brine solution with water, 2% brine solution, put your beetroot in. Within a couple of days, you have a wonderful sauerkraut version, but with beetroot. It is ideal, it is packed with nitrates. You can buy beetroot shots, be careful you only get the ones that are beetroot with maybe some lemon juice added. And a shot of that with some water before a run, and genuinely the difference that we're starting to see through research in sport performance is phenomenal. What does it actually do? Let me tell you what it does as I fill up these little muffin trays. So if Mr. Johnny Mellor's watching, we are on muffins again, so you need to have a muffin tray. I've added 12 cases here. The ones I made for you earlier, I like muffins to be big. That's the difference between a fairy cake and a muffin. So I only made, I think it was 9 or 10. So don't worry. Obviously, if you like them smaller, fill all 12. Otherwise, go with exactly the size you want. So in terms of your performance, in terms of running, nitrates are basically open up. It's to do with vasodilation. It's to do with opening up all your blood arteries, etc., and letting the oxygen get around the body more efficiently. We use the less oxygen for the same amount of energy, so it means that you can do things more efficiently. The body becomes more efficient at synergizing ATP. ATP is the system we use to convert the fuel we take on into energy. So anything that helps with that is so important to give you guys the extra running capacity, the extra bit to get you to the finish line on time, make you faster, make the workout seem less intense and aggressive on your body. In recovery, it has been proven to assist with muscle protein synthesis, which is rebuilding up your muscles once you've had the exercise. So it's a really exciting, I'd say it's probably one of the most exciting innovations and advancements at the moment in sports performance. and that will be said again about polyphenols, but we'll come to them in another week. Really guys, beetroot is one of these foods that I'm going to insist you all try. It's one of those things that people forget about. You forget about it when you're in the shop, you forget about it when you're preparing a salad. I have a wonderful recipe for a Swedish beetroot salad that I'm going to share. I'm going to make it with you all, but I'm going to share it as well on our site, because if you don't like the taste of beetroot, some of you think it's a bit earthy, this particular recipe I'm going to share is a wonderful, tart, vibrant, fruity sort of version of it, which anybody would like, including children. Right, I'm going to pop these in the oven. So again, we're baking, so if we remember, we're using the centre of the oven. We're on about 350, that's quite low, that's to bake out the beetroot. Again, I've said about 15 minutes. The ones I'm going to show you now took a little bit longer, but I made them quite large and they only made 9. So you might be okay. We cannot have a red velvet muffin without some form of a frosting, okay? The traditional frosting on these had 500 grams of icing sugar, which quite frankly is ridiculous. So I've done my version. I'm using a cream cheese. Now, usually I'd say don't go for the low fat because they're packed with horrible alternates that your body just doesn't understand. But actually in cream cheese, I tried my hardest. I found this one didn't have anything else. It was just a lower form of the cream cheese fats. So if you want to use this, we're not baking with it, and often you can't bake with the light versions, that's fine. 100 grams, it's not a huge amount. Again, I don't think we need to go ridiculous on that. And then to that, wonderful protein source of thick Greek yogurt. Packed, we're not cooking this, remember now, so all the benefits of live Greek yogurt and a protein source are within this, as is the case obviously with the cream cheese. So we're going to add these two together. Now, in terms of then giving it some sweetness, rather than 500 grams of badness in icing sugar, we're going to add our favourite. You've got the option of either honey or maple syrup, 30 grams. Use the squeezy version if you can. I put my scales on and I'm going to squeeze, and then I'll tell you about how many squeezes 30 grams is. 1, 2, 3, 4 generous squeezes is 30 grams for those of you who are keen not to use your scales. Now, to that, I'm going to add some vanilla essence as well, but I just want to show you how easily it combines. So you don't even have to get your whiskers out at this point. We're just going to whiz that round with a fork and make this amazing frosting. Because the Greek yogurt's very thick, as opposed to a thin plain yogurt or a standard yogurt you'd get, you're able to create that lovely cream cheese consistency. So I know plain yogurt's great as well, but try and get the thick version so that we've got that sort of frosting structure. Back to the vanilla essence. Now, for those of you that don't like the taste of vanilla essence, you don't have to put it in. Pick something as an option. So maybe if you like the flavour of lemon, some lemon zest and some lemon, maybe you could put some orange in there, some orange zest. You can basically flavour your frosting as you like. But I personally like the flavour of vanilla extract, so I'm going to add that. And that is it. Those are your ingredients for your frosting. So that's that done. Now, what we're going to do, get the ones I made earlier. Like I said, I got 10 out of mine. I had a little taste of one earlier on. They're great. Okay, so perfect chocolate and beetroot muffin, the red velvet muffin. What we will do, spoon on some of that gorgeous frosting I've just made. Now, I've just made this and I've had those ingredients at room temperature for about 20 minutes. But as you can see, that is the perfect frosting lid. Equally, if you put that in the fridge, it will harden just like a buttercream would harden. So you can have it to your preference and it would obviously spread slightly differently. I'd suggest spreading it like this, and then you can obviously put it in the fridge if you prefer. We can decorate these however we want. You know I'm going to ask you to add more fruit. But equally, it's Valentines, so if you want, you can have little chocolate stars, which I've brought some of today. But I want you to start having fun with my beetroot recipes. I want to start seeing you guys going to the shops, next time you're at the shops, buy a packet of beetroot. If you already use it, think of different ways. Think of adding it into your cake mixes. You can add it into any cake, any chocolate cake, any cake which is dark in colour, or you don't mind turning out pink, because obviously that's what will happen. It's something that I want you to all look up. It's something I'm going to start cooking with you loads at the moment. I'd love to hear your feedback on these, but also if any of you eat beetroot and then you go out and do a run, have you noticed any difference? They say within about 7 days you'll start to notice the difference as a pre and post, so in terms of your actual performance and in terms of your recovery. It's a really important dish, so let me know how you get on with it. Let me know how you get on with these. I'll carry on now decorating with my frosting. One thing I always show you that I haven't yet, let me break one open just so you all can see the inside here. So it is just like any other muffin, but with a lot more advantages. So there you go. Enjoy cooking them. I'm back before Valentine's, so undoubtedly I'll do something else with you next week, but we've also got pancake week coming up, and I really want to show you next week how to make my pancakes. 3 ways of pancakes with amazing toppings that you can start to use as breakfast and as snacks and treats. So I was like, what will I do first? So we've done our red theme of Valentine's this week. Next week, I think we're going to do pancakes, and obviously I'll share my recipe with you early beginnings of next week. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy baking, enjoy tasting. Send me your photographs as always. Send me any ideas of recipes you might like me to try. Take care of yourselves. See you soon. Bye-bye.